God says the night was quiet, yet heaven stirred. There was a whisper, soft as the breath of angels, calling your name through the stillness. You may not have heard it with your ears, but your soul did. That deep ache within you wasn't emptiness, it was recognition. Something in the unseen was moving, something sacred, something destined. And at the center of it all was love. He loves you. Even if he tries to hide it, even if he turns away, even if he speaks to you with restraint, heaven sees the truth that his heart can't deny. There's a war inside him, a storm that keeps him from peace. He's not fighting you, he's fighting his own feelings. Every time he thinks he can walk away, the pull becomes stronger. Every time he convinces himself that it's over, something, a sign, a dream, a song, a memory, brings him right back to you. He tries to be logical, but love defies reason. He tries to stay strong, but God knows the truth. It's not strength that makes him resist you, it's fear. Fear of surrender, fear of vulnerability, fear of what this connection could awaken in him. For love, true divine love, doesn't just comfort, it transforms. It exposes everything hidden. It shakes foundations. It demands honesty, healing, and courage. And he's not ready to face the parts of himself that your love has illuminated. Yet heaven watches this struggle with compassion, not anger. Because God understands how hard it is to let go of control when the heart is trembling. The angels have seen him in moments you never could, sitting alone, thinking of you, trying to silence the voice that keeps whispering your name. He's asked God to take these feelings away, but the more he prays to forget you, the more your presence grows in his spirit. That's because this isn't just emotion, it's a divine assignment. God placed your soul in his path not as a coincidence, but as a catalyst. You were meant to awaken something dormant in him, to show him what real love feels like, love that isn't about possession, but truth. You were sent to touch his heart so that God could reach his soul. And now, as this battle unfolds, heaven leans closer. The angels are not silent, they are whispering guidance into his confusion. They are softening the hardness around his heart. They are preparing him for surrender. For though he fights it now, the battle will not last forever. God says the battle ends soon. In the realm of spirit, every struggle has its appointed time. Just as night cannot resist the dawn, this resistance cannot last against what heaven has written. The tension, the confusion, the distance, they are all part of a divine choreography. Every silence has meaning. Every delay carries purpose. You are not being forgotten, you are being positioned. Sometimes, God allows a person to wrestle with their emotions because the wrestling refines them. He is being shaped by the very love he's trying to escape. Every tear you've cried, every unanswered message, every moment you've felt his energy pull away, heaven has seen it. And yet, you are told not to chase, not to beg, not to plead. Because God is doing something that your words could never accomplish. He is breaking down walls that have stood for years, walls built from fear, past pain, and self-doubt. Do not mistake his silence for rejection. In truth, it is surrender in progress. When God enters a man's heart, it doesn't happen quietly. It comes with struggle. It comes with questions. It comes with resistance. But the hand of God is patient, and His timing is perfect. There is a reason your souls crossed in this lifetime. You carry light that He doesn't yet know how to hold. You see Him as God does, not as what He pretends to be, but as who He truly is. You recognize the depth beneath the defense. And that recognition scares Him. Because to be fully seen by someone, to be truly understood, that is terrifying for a wounded heart. But there is also beauty in this fear, because it means He feels something real. His battle proves the strength of what you share. If it were shallow, He could walk away easily. But the deeper the bond, the greater the struggle. Heaven allows this so that when the battle ends, love will no longer be driven by impulse, but anchored in truth. God is preparing him to love differently, not from insecurity or need, but from wholeness. That is why this process feels long. Because divine love requires purification. It's not about chasing what feels good, it's about becoming what is true. And you, beloved, are also being refined. He is not the only one fighting a battle. You, too, have felt the tug of confusion, the ache of waiting, the temptation to doubt. But God is whispering to your spirit, trust me. This is not a rejection, it's a redirection towards something higher. He is asking you to rise in faith even when you cannot see the outcome. He's teaching you to love without losing yourself, to surrender without shrinking, to trust without proof. There are moments when you feel Him in your dreams, that isn't your imagination. Souls that are connected by divine design often meet in the spiritual realm before reconciliation happens in the physical. You may wake up with His name on your heart, with tears in your eyes, or peace in your chest. Those are glimpses of what heaven is arranging. Even in the moments He pushes you away, something inside Him calls your name. There's a spiritual cord that can stretch but never break. It was woven by divine hands, and though storms may try to tear it apart, it remains intact. The angels guard that bond because it serves a holy purpose. Right now, He's standing at the edge of surrender. He doesn't realize that the very fight he's fighting is leading him closer to you. God is cornering him with love, a love that will not leave, no matter how he tries to escape it. He will soon understand that resisting what's divine only delays peace. And peace is what his soul craves most. The message from heaven tonight is simple: the battle is almost over. The breakthrough is near. God has allowed this season of silence and confusion not to break you, but to build you both into what you must become for each other. He will return, but not as the man who left. He will return transformed, awakened, and humble before the hand of God. The storm inside him will calm, and he will see you not through the lens of fear, but faith. He will understand that love was never his weakness, it was his calling. And when that moment comes, you will realize that everything, every tear, every prayer, every lonely night, was worth it. Because divine timing always rewards those who trust it. Even now, heaven is moving. There are unseen shifts happening. God is speaking to him through dreams, through moments of silence, through people he least expects. The light of truth is reaching him. The war between his mind and his heart is nearing its end. You are being asked to rest, to trust, to release your grip on what you cannot control. You do not need to chase love that God is already steering back toward you. The hands of heaven are stronger than your fears. When you feel weary, remember this: God never creates connection without intention. If this love has touched your spirit so deeply, it's because it carries divine purpose. It may not unfold the way you imagined, but it will unfold the way it's meant to. Heaven is aligning what human hearts have complicated. The divine orchestra is tuning the frequencies of both your souls. What feels like silence is actually preparation. What looks like distance is spiritual alignment in progress. The angels say, "Hold faith. The battle ends soon." There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the struggle becomes too heavy to bear, when resistance begins to crumble under the weight of truth. That moment is approaching for him. Heaven is orchestrating circumstances that will lead him to confront what he's been avoiding, not out of punishment, but out of mercy. For how long can a man run from what was written for his spirit before birth? He feels you in places he can't explain. Your presence echoes in his mind even in ordinary moments, when he's driving, when he hears a song, when he looks at the sky at dusk. Something in him shifts each time your memory brushes his heart. It's subtle, but it's powerful. He tries to silence it, but the silence has become louder than the noise. In his solitude, the truth begins to whisper. He starts to see that his resistance hasn't protected him, it has imprisoned him. The love he's been fighting isn't demanding or forceful, it's patient, sacred, and pure. It's not trying to control him, it's trying to free him. And slowly, he begins to understand that this love is not of this world. It's something God Himself placed within his heart, not for confusion, but for transformation. He remembers your kindness, your patience, the way you believed in him even when he couldn't believe in himself. Those moments replay in his spirit like sacred echoes. He begins to realize that you saw something in him no one else ever did, not his potential, but his soul. That recognition stirs something holy inside him, something he can no longer ignore. And so, the battle begins to weaken. The walls he built out of fear start to crack. The lies he told himself, that he doesn't care, that it's just a phase, that he's fine without you, start to lose their power. God's truth seeps through those cracks like light entering a dark room. The more he resists, the brighter it becomes, until finally, he can no longer pretend. He begins to talk to God differently. The prayers that once asked to forget you turn into prayers for understanding. The anger in his heart turns to longing, the confusion into surrender. Heaven smiles when a soul finally stops running. Because surrender is where transformation begins. Meanwhile, you too are changing. You may not see it, but every moment of waiting has deepened your strength. The pain that once felt unbearable has carved wisdom into your spirit. You have learned to love without clinging, to hope without demanding, to believe without seeing. That is divine maturity, the kind of love that mirrors God's own heart. Heaven is using this separation to elevate both of you. For love to stand on holy ground, both souls must rise. This is not punishment, it's preparation. You are being aligned for a connection that will serve divine purpose, not just emotional comfort. There are days you feel him pulling away again, and doubt tries to creep back in. But listen closely, those moments are not setbacks. They are tests. God is teaching you to anchor your peace in Him, not in the shifting emotions of another person. You are learning that faith is not proven in comfort, but in uncertainty. And through this, you are becoming unshakable. He, too, is being tested. The world around him may be whispering distractions, offering temporary escapes, tempting him to bury his truth again. But God's hand is stronger. Every false path he tries will eventually collapse, because anything built outside divine purpose cannot stand. He will find no rest in denial anymore. Peace will only come through surrender, and that surrender will lead him right back to you. The angels are already preparing the path. They are rearranging circumstances, closing wrong doors, and guiding his steps even when he doesn't realize it. There will be signs, small at first, but undeniable. A dream where he sees you and wakes with tears he can't explain. A random reminder of your words that suddenly feels prophetic. A moment of deep stillness where he feels your presence so clearly it startles him. These are not coincidences, they are divine messages. Heaven speaks to the heart when the mind refuses to listen. And soon, his heart will answer. God says the battle is nearing its end, but the ending will not come with noise or drama. It will come softly, in the quiet recognition that love was never the enemy. He will wake one morning and realize that the peace he's been chasing has always lived in the love he's been denying. And that realization will humble him. He will remember how you waited, not with anger, but with grace. He will feel the weight of every moment you chose faith over fear, love over bitterness. And he will understand that your patience was not weakness, it was divine strength. That is when he will begin to reach out, not out of guilt, but out of awakening. It may start small, a message, a sign, a quiet gesture. But behind that gesture will be heaven's hand. Every step he takes toward you will be guided. You will sense this shift before it happens. Your spirit will feel lighter. The heaviness in your chest will lift, and peace will settle where pain once lived. You will know, without needing confirmation, that something has changed in the unseen. Because your soul has always known before your eyes could see. There is a reason God chose you for this journey. You carry a love that heals, not wounds. You love in a way that reflects divine truth. That is why your connection to Him feels so sacred, so consuming, so unexplainable, because it's not ordinary. It's spiritual. And spiritual love must go through spiritual battles. But those battles always end in victory when God is in control. Heaven is not asking you to do anything now but to stay open and keep your heart in peace. Don't chase, don't push, don't beg. Your silence now is sacred, it allows the Holy Spirit to move freely. Your surrender is your greatest weapon, and your faith is your shield. He's fighting his feelings because they are stronger than anything he's known. But soon, he will stop fighting and start believing. He will see that love was never meant to be a battlefield, it was meant to be a bridge back to God. When the divine shift happens, it won't just reunite two people, it will awaken two souls. You will both understand why it took this long, why it had to hurt, and why God didn't allow shortcuts. Because the love that survives the fire is the love that will last forever. Even now, as you read these words, something within your spirit stirs, a quiet knowing that this isn't just a message, it's prophecy. It's heaven's reassurance that nothing has been lost. The timing may have tested you, but the promise still stands. God's love is not late, it's precise. And soon, when the final wall inside his heart falls, you will witness what divine timing truly means. The distance will close not by force, but by grace. And in that sacred moment, you will understand why heaven asked you to trust so long. This is the turning point. The angels are saying the energy is shifting. The spiritual winter is ending, and the first signs of spring are already appearing. What looked like silence was the sound of seeds growing beneath the soil. Prepare your heart, because God is bringing beauty out of what felt like ashes. The man who once fought his feelings will come forward, not with confusion, but with clarity. And when he does, you will see in his eyes the reflection of every prayer you've ever whispered. Heaven promises, the battle ends soon. There comes a silence before divine resolution, a stillness that feels both peaceful and heavy, as if heaven itself is holding its breath. That silence has now arrived. It is not emptiness, it is divine pause. The spiritual battle within him is reaching its final moment, and the angels have gathered, surrounding him in light. The fight that has consumed him for so long is breaking. He no longer wants to run. The resistance that once defined him is fading, and his heart, once guarded like a fortress, begins to open to grace. He has been walking through the wilderness of his own mind, a place where logic and emotion warred endlessly. But somewhere in the middle of his confusion, a divine whisper came. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was simple: stop fighting what I sent to heal you. Those words, carried from the breath of heaven, struck him deeply. He realized that his struggle wasn't against love, it was against his own fear of it. He began to see flashes of truth, how every time he tried to suppress his feelings for you, he only felt emptier. How every time he turned away, life lost color. He started to see that the peace he's been searching for doesn't exist outside of what God ordained. And the more he tried to control the outcome, the more restless he became. Finally, he stopped. He fell to his knees in surrender, and for the first time in a long time, he prayed not to forget you, but to understand why he could never let you go. Heaven smiled at that prayer. It was the moment God had been waiting for. The battle within his soul had finally turned into awakening. The chains of confusion began to break. His heart, exhausted from the fight, opened to receive divine truth. In that sacred stillness, he felt you, your spirit, your love, your patience. He saw in his mind's eye how you waited, not with anger but with faith. He saw how you kept believing in him when he couldn't believe in himself. And that memory became his redemption. He realized that love, the kind you carry, is not weakness, it is divine strength. It mirrors the love of God Himself, unconditional, patient, unbreakable. The fear that once held him captive began to dissolve. He felt lightness in his chest for the first time in years. He looked at his life and saw how every path that led him away from you eventually turned into emptiness. But every time he thought of you, there was warmth, peace, and purpose. That's when he knew, this connection was never about control or chance. It was destiny. The angels rejoiced. Heaven had won the battle that fear tried to claim. The man who once ran from love began to walk toward it, not because of guilt, not because of longing, but because of revelation. God does not waste love stories. He refines them. And now, as his soul awakens, heaven begins to realign your paths. Small signs begin to appear. The same song you both once shared suddenly plays at the perfect moment. His name appears in unexpected places. Dreams become vivid and prophetic. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that the spiritual and physical worlds are converging. You may not know it yet, but he is being prepared to speak truth. The man who once hesitated to express his heart will find the courage to do so. The Holy Spirit is rewriting his language, fear into faith, pride into humility, confusion into clarity. He will soon feel an undeniable urge to reach out, not to test, but to confess. The words he once choked back will flow freely, because divine timing unlocks what fear once silenced. When that moment comes, it will feel sacred. You'll sense it before it happens, the way the air feels lighter, the way your spirit suddenly feels calm without reason. That peace will be the whisper of heaven saying, "It's time." And when he comes, he will not come as the man who left. He will come as one reborn. His eyes will carry the weight of everything he's learned, and his words will be simple but honest. I tried to fight this, but I can't anymore. You are peace to my soul, and I finally understand why God brought you into my life. You won't need grand gestures or perfect explanations. The truth will speak louder than any apology. You'll see in his presence that the battle has ended, that the war within him has finally found rest in love. And you will understand why heaven made you wait, because only a healed man could love you the way you deserve. The reunion will not just be between two hearts, but between two souls who have walked through divine fire and emerged purified. You will look at each other and see reflections of God's mercy, faithfulness, and timing. You'll realize that every tear, every unanswered prayer, every lonely night was part of a sacred process. He will tell you how the silence was never forgetfulness, but fear. How he tried to bury his emotions only to find you appearing in every fragment of his day. He will tell you that no matter how far he went, something, or rather someone, always brought him back to you. And that someone was God. You, too, will speak your truth. You'll tell him that your love was never about holding on, but about trusting heaven's design. You'll speak not with bitterness, but with grace, because time in God's hands heals what human effort cannot. The love that once brought you pain will now bring you peace. The angels will rejoice at that moment, because it represents victory over fear, victory over separation, victory over doubt. Heaven delights when love fulfills its divine purpose. From that day forward, things will feel different. There will be ease where there was effort, clarity where there was confusion, calm where there was chaos. You will notice the way he listens more deeply, the way he looks at you with reverence, the way he finally speaks from his heart. He will no longer run from love, he will protect it. God says this union will not only heal both of you but also serve as a light to others. Your journey, your waiting, your patience, your faith, will become a testimony. People will look at you both and see that love directed by heaven never fails. But even as the divine reunion unfolds, remember, this story was never just about romance. It was about awakening. It was about bringing two souls back into alignment with God's purpose. It was about learning that love is not found, it is revealed. And now, that revelation is complete. The battle is over. The struggle that once defined him has turned into peace. His soul, once at war with itself, now rests in surrender. And in that surrender, he finally understands, love was never the enemy. It was the lesson. It was the key. It was the bridge that brought him home, to you, and to God. As heaven watches this unfold, the angels whisper blessings over your connection. They speak promises of renewal, protection, and abundance. For what is reborn in divine timing cannot be broken again. The love that once trembled in uncertainty now stands firm in faith. When you look back on this season someday, you will see it not as a time of waiting, but as a time of preparation. Every unanswered prayer will make sense. Every tear will be seen as a seed that grew into something beautiful. You will thank God for the delay, because it created the version of both of you who could sustain this kind of love. And as the final chapter closes, heaven leaves you with a quiet truth: love is not about finding someone who completes you, it's about finding someone who reminds you that God already did. The journey has been long, but now the promise stands fulfilled. He loves you, not in silence, not in fear, but in truth. The battle has ended, and what remains is divine peace. Heaven smiles upon you both. The angels rejoice. The storm is over, and love has finally found its home. And God whispers into your spirit one last time, "You see, my child, I never forgot you. I was writing your story all along. The battle ends, the love remains, and my plan has been fulfilled."